Hello, everybody. It's Friday, January the 9th, 2026. Welcome to a brand new episode of AMA Air. Coming up today, we're going to hear from Tyler Dobbs and new AMA President Greg Stone on the recent FCC decision.
Yes, we'll also have a list of new AMA Hall of Fame members that were inducted.
And we've got some important deadlines we want to tell you about. All that and more coming up today on AMA Air. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode, the first episode, that is, of 2026 of AMA Air. My name is Matt Ruddick.
Hey, guys, I'm Lee Ray. Happy New Year, Matt.
Happy New Year to you as well, Lee. Did Santa bring you any cool new airplanes or anything this year?
I got very little RC stuff, but our Christmas present this year was a New Year celebration. I took my family to Orlando. My wife got to go see the Longhorns beat Michigan.
Hey!
So it was a good year for my wife. So hook 'em horns, dear.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Well, guys, we want to let you know this month's episode of AMA Air is brought to you by On Top of the World. We're going to hear a little bit more from them a little bit later on in the show. But first, we wanted to start off with the kind of breaking news story that happened just a few weeks ago. The FCC surprised the drone and model aviation community with
surprise.
I mean, it was a little bit of a surprise. They surprised us with a national security order targeting foreign-made UAS components. Stakeholders are seeking clarity and next steps, and to do that, we wanted to bring AMA Executive Director Tyler Dobbs and new AMA President Greg Stone onto the show to talk a little bit about it. We got to talk to them a little bit earlier this week, and we wanted to share that conversation with you now. Well, as I said earlier, just a couple of weeks ago, the FCC came out with a decision that I think, frankly, surprised a lot of the modeling community, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that with you guys. And to do that, we brought on a couple of guests. Our AMA Executive Director, Tyler Dobbs, is here, as well as our brand new AMA President, Greg Stone. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks for including us.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right into it. For those that maybe don't know, maybe they haven't had a chance to kind of read what this decision is about. Tyler, can you go into just a little bit of detail on what the FCC ruled here and how it is affecting model aviation?
Sure. So as you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I believe the decision was made on December 21st, 2025, and was released on the 22nd, right before the Christmas and New Year holiday. The FCC added all foreign-made UAS and critical UAS components to the National Defense Authorization Act covered list. And that covered list basically includes any UAS or component that poses a national security risk to the United States. The critical components, to dive into that a little bit, would be communication equipment, transmitters or control stations, motors, batteries, and a few others. Something that you had mentioned that it caught many by surprise, and this current action, it did, not just AMA, the commercial industry, and literally everyone. But this issue didn't catch anybody by surprise. AMA has been fighting and opposing this issue now for 5 or 6 years. There's been multiple executive orders from the White House that were drafted that put a restriction on foreign-made UAS and where they could fly. We successfully pushed back against those. There's been multiple standalone bills from Senator Scott of Florida or Senator Lee of Utah that look to address this issue. There's been DJI bans and advanced drone bans proposed in National Defense Authorization Acts year after year. DJI is a company, I mentioned it's got the attention of lawmakers and national security agencies now for years. And so we thought that most of the restrictions would be placed on those type of particular aircraft or aircraft that had the same capabilities. I'll say what the surprise was such a blanket restriction on everything foreign-made UAS. If you look at the FCC notice that was published, it goes into great detail on how things pose a risk and so forth. But what it doesn't do is explain any of it. How does a battery pose a risk to national security? And if the battery can be used on an aircraft or a remote control car, does it pose the same risk because that car is not restricted? If the control station or the transmitter can be used on a different type of ground vehicle, it obviously doesn't pose the same risk there. So I think that the FCC, I think that Customs and National or Department of Defense and others are going to have a difficult time in making some of the determinations that are going to be needed over the course of the next few weeks and months and years to really narrow down what are you going to restrict at the end of the day, and what argument are you going to use to do so. Because I do think that Customs especially is going to struggle to determine, do we let this shipment of batteries come in? It says it's for RC cars, but it can also be used for RC aircraft. They're probably not even going to know that. There are things that are restricted now that are coming into the U.S. all the time, and even in our hobby that are being used. So there's going to be a large educational aspect that's going to be needed to this, and I'm not sure some of these decisions were thought through. I'll pause there to see if Lee or Matt or Greg have any follow-ups they would like to add, but I obviously have more I want to discuss.
I'll give Greg an opportunity to chime in, because I could take this show for a good 30 or 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this has been going on for years, and we're continuing the push and the fight for the modelers, and so you need to just bear with us as we continue this. It's an iterative process. It's really never going to end. So we just need to keep focusing on what we need and how we're going to achieve it, and work with the appropriate leaders to get the adjustments made.
Yeah, that's a great point, Greg. This isn't going to end. It's always going to be something. There's the next issue. We've got cybersecurity that's going to be an issue in the future. We've got counter UAS that is going to be an issue for some of our sites around the country. So it's just going to be one thing after the other. What we need to do is band together and be unified voice when we move forward. AMA and a handful of others are speaking with their legislators, speaking with members of Congress, with the Department of Defense and others. But we need many more. We need our members to reach out and get engaged. We need manufacturers and hobby shops and others to be part of this. We will find a solution, but we'll have to do so as a group. So, where things stand right now, we have sent a letter to the FCC letting them know that we oppose this ruling. We have meetings that we're setting with FCC and members of Congress. I'll be in D.C. for the largest portion of the end of this month and beginning of next month for congressional meetings, FCC meetings, White House meetings, DOD, and others. This notice specifically mentions that there could be exemptions made for UAS or segments of UAS that pose a low risk. I see no group that poses a lower risk than line of sight operations. And that includes everything that we do. We're not commercial operators. We don't fly beyond visual line of sight. We don't need sense and avoid. We're not flying miles away. Most of our aircraft don't even have the capability to do so. Most of our aircraft, if you can see the aircraft, you can see the person that's flying it just a few hundred feet away, standing in their field or on the edge of their cornfield or property. And so, we understand that there is a new technology out there that has some pretty amazing capabilities, and with that comes some risks. But we also need not forget that this technology was created based off of a more or a less advanced platform in the traditional model aircraft. And those traditional model aircraft do not pose the same risk. They're only flown visual line of sight, and the vast majority of them are flown in large group settings at flying sites and parks and so forth. And so that will be our push. We're obviously going to advocate for everybody, traditional model aircrafts, for FPV, for those that fly more advanced drones. That's what we do. We want to see the entire hobby grow and move forward in one great big group. That being said, we think that there is an opportunity to get some exemptions for the less advanced and less capable aircraft, and hopefully we can do that relatively quickly.
So we have a post on Facebook, lots of comments, positive and negative, heated and calm.
Sure.
And one of the questions that someone posted, which I don't have the answer either, it's a public notice, but someone asked, when does this take effect? Is it immediate? What does a public notice do?
Yeah, so it is immediate. I will say in terms of customs, traditionally, they give 60 days grace period on shipments and things like that coming into the country once a rule changes. This is a little different in that there's going to, as I mentioned, there's going to have to be some educational aspect, because if it's pre-certified through the FCC, they're not revoking that. Well, some things don't get certified, batteries and so forth. They're not going through an FCC certification. Now they do have some certifications they need to go through. But how will they handle that? I don't know. I don't know how, if a battery is dual purpose moving forward and it can fit on a ground vehicle, RC ground vehicle, but it also could fit on an RC aircraft. I don't know how customs and the FCC and others will handle that. I think they'll run into that issue, and I think there'll have to be some education that goes along with it. But for the most part, this will be immediate, and anything after December 22nd, if it's foreign made, won't receive the certification that's needed. Prior to that, if a company has a dozen aircraft that they have certified and the transmitters and the receivers and everything have their certification that's needed, they can continue to sell those moving forward. We would think that you could throw those on a different style aircraft. The body doesn't need certified, just the components inside. So it gives them some flexibility there while we work this issue out. We're certainly thankful that it's not retroactive and bans everything. I think that even makes our case stronger in that, look, we're using similar capability components moving forward. The components aren't giving the aircraft any more capabilities. We just want to be able to do the same things with the same style aircraft that we have for the past 100 years. So.
And that was, you kind of touched on it. That was another concern in the comments, is this a grab? Is the government coming to take our transmitters? Are they coming to take the planes and the equipment we already have? That doesn't apply here, correct?
Well, nobody keeps a closer eye on the government than I do, I can promise you. But I don't think so. I'm not going to, certainly don't want to speak for the government. I don't see this as a grab. I think that they're going to allow us to continue moving forward with the things that are already certified. That's what we have in writing, and that's how we're going to move forward with this. But we have a lot of questions that we want to get answered. And, I mentioned when this was released, and I feel like that's by design. We're going to release this. Everybody's going to be up in arms. Everybody at the agency, members of Congress and their staff are all going to be out for 2 weeks. Let cooler heads prevail over that 2-week period, and then we'll start taking meetings starting today and moving forward. But that being said, we're still up in arms. I've been meeting with quite a few in the industry, manufacturers, hobby shops, a lot in the commercial industry, and everybody has a lot of questions that we're looking to get answered. And I think that it's possible. We certainly encourage all of our members to reach out to their senators and their congressional representative now, but we may do a larger push moving forward. We'll have to see how things go, how willing they are to listen to us and work with us and answer our questions. And if we don't like what we're hearing, then we're going to get you guys engaged. And they may not answer to one or two of us, but when we get a few thousand of them pinging their emails and phone lines, they tend to change their tune rather quickly. So just continue to monitor modelaircraft.org, our social media, your email. And if we need your help, we're certainly going to reach out and ask for that.
Absolutely. Now, it's worth pointing out that we wanted to have you guys on the show this month to talk about something else completely different that was a little bit more positive. This kind of took over everything. But would you like to talk a little bit about what happened with HR 6460?
Sure. Yeah, that was great news. We kind of got that introduced through the House and got it passed through the committee just a few days before this FCC ruling came out. So, it's like one step forward, two steps back, unfortunately. But yeah, you mentioned HR 6460. That's a House bill that Congressman Mann and Congresswoman Davids they sponsored that bill for us. Essentially, what it does is we have a handful of clubs in a rare form of airspace, Class E3 and E4. And the language that was written through legislation back in 2018, the FAA recently reached out and said, we don't love that language and we'd like that to be stronger to make sure that we have the ability and the authority to grant you authorizations in this airspace. We've been operating under that law and we have authorizations for all of our sites. It's about 25 sites in those locations for the past 7 years. So we were a little unsure as to why now this new interpretation is so important. But regardless, we went to Congress and we started working with them to address it. At the same time, we specifically requested that they add E5 airspace to that bill. And what this will do is it allows the FAA to grant us authorization in all classifications of airspace, including E2, 3, 4, and 5. And E5 gets us above that 700 or 1,200 foot threshold that we received in 2025. As many of your viewers are probably aware, if you're at a fixed flying site, now you're not restricted to the 400 feet in Class G airspace. You can fly up to the 700 or 1,200. This lets us request higher than that 700 or 1,200. So if you have a soaring event or large model aircraft or turbine jets or so forth, and you'd say, man, I'd really like to go up to 2,000 or, we need 1,500 or whatever that may be, then we can put those requests in and get you a long-term authorization. So that passed out of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee just a couple weeks ago. It's likely to pass the full House, and we're working on the Senate to get that introduced and passed moving forward. So we're pretty confident about this bill, has a lot of support behind it, and AMA's been leading the charge with that. So hopefully in the next few months, we'll be addressing this FCC issue and bringing you the good news that your clubs can now request to go higher in Class G airspace.
Yeah, that was honestly, it was really great news to hear when it was kind of announced back in the middle of December at this point. If you guys want to learn more about that bill in particular, we've got a blog post up on our website, as well as video links to the actual discussions that were happening in that House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure that are embedded on that blog post as well. If you guys want to go watch those, you can kind of hear from the Congress themselves about what they feel about that bill as well. So.
Yeah, that's definitely worth a watch. I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because they talk about the importance of model aviation and the importance of the Academy of Model Aeronautics and how we're the stepping stone. Those that are in full-scale aviation and that's their career and that's their love, they often get that start because they started with model aviation. And, we say it all the time, but when members of Congress spend 5 minutes talking about that, it makes you pretty proud to be a part of it. So I would encourage everybody to go out there and watch those.
Absolutely. We'll have links to that down in the video description below. You can also go to our blog over at modelaircraft.org as well to check that out. Tyler and Greg both, is there anything else that you feel like we need to touch on that before we let you go, specifically about this FCC ruling that maybe we haven't had a chance to hit on yet?
I'd say the main thing is, allow us to do our work. We're going to continue to advocate for you and, just back us up in all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. We can certainly use all your support. We're happy to take your criticism too. If you want to leave a negative comment on Facebook, by all means do so. Just do me a favor, and when you get done leaving that comment, go to your senators and your congressional reps, Twitter, Facebook, X, whatever, and leave a similar comment. Let them know that you're unhappy with this ruling, that model aviation is extremely important to all aspects of aviation. Share the safety record that we have and let them know that this needs to be reversed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today, Tyler, Greg. Of course, guys, we're going to have a longer conversation with our new AMA president, Greg Stone, on the next episode of AMA Air, so you can get to know him a little bit better. So I encourage you guys to tune in on that next episode to hear more from him. But in the meantime, thank you both for joining us today to talk about this really important topic.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, since 1969, the AMA Hall of Fame has honored the innovators, competitors, and volunteers who lift model aviation higher. This year's inductee class includes 7 extraordinary AMA members whose impact spans soaring, free flight, control line, engineering, design, film, and education. Today, we want to celebrate the 2025 AMA Hall of Fame inductees, Charles Legg, David Anderson, Earl Owen, Dr. Gary Fogel, Julie Parker, Larry Jolly, and Ralph Warner. Congratulations to this year's AMA Hall of Fame inductees. And of course, to go along with that, the Carl and Beth Goldberg Vital People Award is also something we put out every single year. It shines a light on the AMA members who fuel the hobby from behind the scenes, the leaders, the builders, the organizers, and the mentors who make clubs stronger and memories bigger. This year, 3 modelers earned that honor for extraordinary dedication and global impact. Those award winners include Lawrence Erbach of District 6, Lon McClure of District 7, and Sevik Malkasian of District 10. Their work is the quiet backbone of model aviation, and today we like to celebrate them as well. Congratulations to all of those award winners and inductees. We appreciate all the effort and work that they put into our hobby.
It sure was nice of you all to come and visit us.
You know, I think it's getting late. We must be wanting to get on the road again.
What about our canasta rematch?
Or maybe we can watch my old rock band's first and last show ever.
No, we don't want to keep you. Besides, who has a VCR anymore?
Remember, we can come back whenever you want another family fun explosion.
Good to know.
Bye now.
That was nice. I hope we didn't wear them out.
Better luck next time.
Better luck next time.
Do you think they miss us? Maybe I should turn around.
I think they're good, Dad.
Well, Lee, it is that time to talk about the AMA Club of the Month. Who do we got on deck for the first Club of the Month for the year 2026?
Our first Club of the Month for 2026 is the Arizona Model Pilot Society, also known as AMPS. They are an AMA Gold Leader Club located in Glendale, Arizona. They operate within the Maricopa County Park system at Adobe Dam Regional Park. They started with a handful of members and now have over 250. That's really nice. Now, one thing I do like about this club is that the cooperation they have with the park system is that they're listed on the park's website. And I like what they have to say about this club. It says the club is a nonprofit organization formed for the following purposes: to secure, develop, and operate a flying site for model aircraft, create interest in model building, aid beginners through the exchange of knowledge, ideas, and experience, promote model flying to the individual and the community, and provide a progressive training program for all phases of radio control flying. If your club operates within a park, this is a great tip. Talk to the park's social media employee or staff and try to get this type of information put on their website and their social media channels to promote your club. AMPS has a beautiful asphalt runway. It's 600 feet long by 75 feet wide. They have a great covered pits area, a large parking lot, and other amenities. They do work with the community. In fact, they have training officers there that work with the ROTC Civil Air Patrol, and they also offer their field to the Arizona Department of Public Safety and Scouting America. Coming up in a few weeks is their annual swap meet, so if you're in the area, don't miss it. And then in March, they have their AMPS Green Fest, which they list as Arizona's premier remote control electric show. So I would highly recommend that if you want to know more information or visit this club, go to their website, ampsrc.com, to learn more. And again, congratulations to everybody there at the club. You deserve our Club of the Month.
And of course, we like to tell you guys a little bit about our AMA cover photo contest every single month here on the show. If you don't know about the AMA cover photo contest, all you got to do is go to the IFlyAMA Facebook group at facebook.com/group/IFlyAMA. Every single month, we choose one of your photos to be the cover photo of that group. And we've got a brand new one to tell you about. Lee, who do we got for this month in the IFlyAMA Facebook group?
Well, just a friendly reminder, everybody, we have wiped the slate clean, so everybody can be a winner again. We had a couple repeats that were always providing these awesome photos, so we kind of kept a list, but now the list is empty. So our first winner of 2026 is Nathan Jones. This is his Shamu Southwest Airlines jet. There's some really good comments on it already. And this is, I like how the Silent Electric Flyers of San Diego chimed in and said, Nate is one of our pilots here. And this plane looks very real. So congratulations. It's a great photo. Thanks for sharing. And again, as Matt said, you too could be a winner. Go to facebook.com/group/IFlyAMA. Join. I'll check you in if you're legit. And share your photos, and the person with the most likes gets the cover photo.
Absolutely. What a great looking plane, great looking photo. We appreciate that entry, and we appreciate all of you guys for submitting your entries every single month. Well, guys, we've got some dates we want to make sure that you're aware of. We've talked about them here on the show, but we want to emphasize them once again for you guys. Registration is open right now for the 100th running of the AMA National Air Modeling Championships. Register early to lock in early bird discounts. And if you're one of the first 100 adults to sign up, you'll receive a special limited edition Nats gift box. All you got to do is go to modelaircraft.org/Nats to secure your spot and join the AMA Nats Facebook group to stay plugged in to event updates, community buzz, and centennial surprises. We're looking forward to this year's Nats. I hope you are as well. The 100th running of the AMA's National Air Modeling Championships. And also, we want to let you know that UAS for STEM registration, team registration specifically, is coming up. The deadline is January the 12th. Students, clubs, educators interested in launching a new team can explore the new team guide at uasforstem.org/new teams. For program details and registration, visit uasforstem.org. And new teams can get started Again, at uasforstem.org/new teams.
And I just have to remind everybody, the finals takes place at Oshkosh Air Venture.
That's right.
So you gotta want to do that. That's just so much fun.
Here's the selling point for that is not very many people get to say they get to fly at Air Venture, right?
Absolutely.
You want to be able to put that on your resume. Yeah, I got to fly at Air Venture.
It's fun. We'll keep talking about it when we get closer, especially when we get there. We'll send photos, share photos with you, everyone, about what happens at Air Venture. UAS for STEM is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
We also have AMA scholarship deadlines coming up, guys. And as a father who had his son register for a scholarship and receive one, I highly recommend if you've got a senior who's picking out of college and who's highly motivated into aviation, please sign up. You go to modelaircraft.org/scholarships. The deadline is February 2nd, 2026. That's this year. So please get those letters in, and your child could be a winner of a great scholarship. And then we also have coming up, the deadline is February 1st, is the Flying Site Improvement Grant. And I can tell you, this is a great opportunity for your club to earn some money to improve, not just do repairs, although our club has used it for repairs, but to make improvements, including a geotex runway, if you wanted to add that to your facility, or new building materials, add gravel, cement, asphalt for your driveways, equipment, mowers. There's so much you can use. So the minimum amount, I think, is $100, and you can win up to $3,000. And I say win, I mean earn a grant. So get those grants in there, again, due by February 1st, 2026. And that's go to modelaircraft.org/grants.
God, and to think about it, February 1st, 2026 is like 3 weeks away.
I'm using that 2026. It's just a few weeks. Yes, just a few weeks. I got to stop doing that. It's like when you had to use that number for your checks. You got to focus that in there. Don't forget, it's a 2-6 now.
Yeah, and wow, 2026 is flying by already. We're just 2 weeks in.
Yes.
So, guys, make sure you if you're interested in any of those deadlines, to make sure to get those applications in as quickly as you can. You don't want to wait any longer for that. Well, Lee, I think that brings us to the end of our show. We want to let you guys know we're going to be having a conversation with the new AMA president, Greg Stone, on the next episode, so you guys can get to know him just a little bit better. But hey, if you've enjoyed this episode of AMA Air, we want to thank you for watching, and we'd love it if you hit that like button down below, share, subscribe, do all of those things that YouTube and Facebook and whatever tells you to do. Lee, I know you know all about that stuff a lot better than I do.
Like, subscribe, and leave your comments. We know it's been a tough time these past few weeks. The FCC, statement really threw us all for a loop, but we're all working together on this. I see a lot of great comments from folks who've been in this hobby as long as I have, who understand we've been through these hurdles before. Yes. We'll get through them again. And leave your comments, because all of us are working together.
Absolutely. And if you guys are not yet a member of the AMA, we'd love for you to come check out all the things that we can do for you in this community. Head over to modelaircraft.org/join for more information on how you can become a member of the AMA. And until next time, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of AMA Air. So long.